5,000 years ago, long before the pyramids of Egypt reached their full glory. A civilization flourished on the arid coast of Peru that would change our understanding of ancient America forever. In the Supe Valley, where the desert meets the Andes, the Caral people built the oldest known city in the Americas. And recently, archaeologists discovered something extraordinary. A high-status woman buried with treasures that hint at a society far more sophisticated than we ever imagined. Her story, preserved in the dry Peruvian soil for 50 centuries, is about to reveal secrets of power, spirituality, and feminine authority in one of humanity's earliest civilizations. This is the story of the Lady of Caral, a woman who commanded respect in an age when history itself was just beginning to be written. Dr. Ruth Shady and her team had been excavating the ancient city of Caral for decades when they encountered something unusual in the ceremonial sector of the main pyramid. Beneath layers of carefully placed stones and ancient mortar, they found a burial chamber that had remained untouched for 5 millennia. Inside lay the remains of a woman, positioned with deliberate care, her body adorned with objects of incredible craftsmanship. Necklaces of polished stone and shell encircled her neck. Textiles, still bearing traces of vibrant dyes, wrapped her form. Most intriguingly, she was buried with a quipu, an intricate system of knotted strings used for record-keeping, suggesting she held administrative or religious authority. The archaeologists worked with painstaking precision, documenting every artifact, every bone, every grain of soil that might tell them who this remarkable woman was. To understand the significance of this discovery, we must journey back to 3000 BCE, when Caral was a thriving metropolis of approximately 3,000 inhabitants. While Mesopotamia and Egypt are celebrated as cradles of civilization, Caral developed independently on the opposite side of the world, without any contact with these ancient powers. The Caral people engineered massive pyramids, plazas, and amphitheaters without the use of the wheel or draft animals. They created sophisticated irrigation systems that transformed the desert into agricultural abundance. They traded with coastal communities for fish and with highland settlements for exotic goods. And unlike many ancient civilizations, Caral shows no evidence of warfare, no weapons, no fortifications, no depictions of violence. Instead, they seem to have thrived through trade, innovation, and perhaps spiritual authority embodied by leaders like our mysterious lady. Analysis of the burial reveals that this was no ordinary citizen. The location itself within the main pyramid's ceremonial complex indicates supreme importance. Only individuals of the highest status would be interred in such sacred space. Her grave goods tell a story of wealth and influence. Spondylus shells from distant Ecuador, evidence of extensive trade networks, bone flutes and musical instruments suggesting ceremonial roles, fine textiles requiring hundreds of hours of skilled labor, and that remarkable quipu, perhaps containing records of tributes, astronomical observations, or sacred knowledge. Physical analysis of her remains shows a diet rich in marine proteins and cultivated foods, the diet of elite, not laborers. Her bones show no signs of the repetitive stress injuries common in working-class individuals. She was approximately 40 years old at death, an advanced age for the period, suggesting she lived a life of relative privilege and had access to the best nutrition and care available. What makes this discovery revolutionary is what it reveals about gender and authority in ancient Caral. For too long, archaeology has assumed that early civilizations were dominated exclusively by male leadership. But the Lady of Caral challenges this assumption dramatically. The presence of the quipu, an administrative tool, suggests she may have been a record keeper, an accountant of sacred resources, or even a ruler who managed the city's complex trade networks. Some researchers propose she was a religious leader, a priestess who mediated between the physical and spiritual worlds. Her burial position with hands carefully arranged and face turned toward the sacred mountain peaks suggests deep spiritual significance. In a civilization that built its power on trade and religion rather than warfare, perhaps feminine authority was not just accepted, but central to their success. She may have been a queen, a high priestess, a chief administrator, or all of these combined in a role we can barely comprehend from our modern perspective. Imagine her life in the bustling heart of Caral. As dawn breaks over the Andes, she rises in her quarters near the main pyramid, already attended by servants who bring water from the irrigation canals and prepare her morning meal. Her day might begin with rituals, offerings to the mountains that provide water, to the ocean that provides fish, to the earth that yields cotton and squash. Perhaps she consults her quipu, reading the knotted chords like we read spreadsheets, tracking the tribute from outlying communities, the yields of harvest, the movements of celestial bodies. She receives delegations from coastal fishing villages, bringing spondylus shells and anchovies. She mediates disputes, blesses new constructions, and makes decisions that affect thousands of lives. In the evening, she might ascend the pyramid for ceremonies, her voice carrying across the plaza as flutes play and drums echo off stone walls. Her authority is not maintained by force, but by knowledge, spiritual connection, and the intricate web of reciprocal obligations that holds this peaceful civilization together. The quipu found in her burial is one of the oldest ever discovered, and it presents a tantalizing mystery. These devices, consisting of colored strings with intricate knots, were famously used by the later Inca civilization for record-keeping and possibly for narrative storytelling. But the Caral quipu predates the Inca by 4,000 years, pushing back the origin of this technology to civilization's very beginning in South America. What information did her quipu contain? Was it a record of her achievements, meant to accompany her to the afterlife? Did it contain religious formulas, mathematical calculations, or historical narratives? The knots have deteriorated over the millennia, and we may never fully decode their meaning. But their presence in her burial suggests that knowledge itself was considered a form of wealth, worthy of being taken to the next world. She was buried not just with material riches, but with information, a powerful statement about what her society truly valued. The Lady of Caral was buried during the civilization's height, but within centuries, Caral would be mysteriously abandoned. Climate change, possibly a prolonged drought, seems to have disrupted the delicate agricultural systems that sustained the city. Without water, the fields failed. Without surplus, the trade networks collapsed. The people gradually dispersed, moving to more sustainable locations, and the Great Pyramids were left to the desert winds. For nearly 5,000 years, sand buried the plazas, and silence filled the amphitheaters. The civilization that built the America's oldest city was forgotten, its achievements lost to time, until modern archaeology rediscovered it in the late 20th century. But Our Lady remained, patient in her stone chamber, waiting for the moment when her story could finally be told to a world that had forgotten her people ever existed. The discovery of the Lady of Caral forces us to reconsider fundamental assumptions about human civilization. She proves that complex societies emerged independently in multiple places across the ancient world. She demonstrates that peaceful civilizations based on trade and spirituality, not warfare, can achieve remarkable sophistication. Most importantly, she challenges the narrative that early civilizations were exclusively male-dominated hierarchies. Women wielded genuine power and authority in humanity's earliest cities. Her story connects us to our deepest past and reminds us that 5,000 years ago, people faced challenges remarkably similar to our own. Managing resources, maintaining peace, adapting to climate change, and preserving knowledge for future generations. The respect with which she was buried speaks to values that transcend millennia, honoring wisdom, cherishing knowledge, and recognizing that leadership comes in many forms.